Hey all YouTubers and subscribers, good morning. This is Try76. Hope you're having a good day and good morning. What I want to talk about is mental illness versus possession. Okay, now a lot of folks out there don't believe that mental illness is connected to possession. Okay, but here are my findings through my research. Is one, I have interviewed psych nurses, psych doctors. In fact, my niece is a psych nurse. It's the head of departments. A lot of it has to do with drugs and alcohol, mainly drugs. I agree with that 100%. I believe it's self-induced, and I believe that drugs do create a chemical imbalance in the brain. However, through my research, I have found that schizophrenia is most common in possession. Society has it as a chemical imbalance in the brain. Schizophrenia is where you hear voices. Schizophrenia is one where, you're seeing things that other people aren't seeing. Okay? There is a man that walks across the church parking lot, waving his hands, stopping, and just talking as though he's talking to someone. And I'd just love to go up there and bam him, But I do believe that schizophrenia, of all mental illnesses, is a form of possession. I am not saying that all mental illness is a possession, but I would say possession is almost the key to starting a mental illness. 100% of the mental illness today that's in the mental wards is, due to drugs and alcohol. Alright, I had an interruption. It was Jim. So I would say that schizophrenia of all mental illnesses is due to possession 100%. The paranoia that sets in is due to the fact that the entity itself is making you crazy. It's playing with your head. The paranoia, okay, is the fact that you have this somebody or something watching you all the time, and this is part of the possession. Because, as I've spoken before, the shadow ghost, the shift shaper, always watching every move that you're making. So actually what it's doing is messing with your head, and society has it as mental illness. Depression plays a big part in possession, but I don't believe that it's a full possession. What I believe in is that it's getting ready, it's so close, that it's feeding off of that negativity, and it's getting so close to possession. And I'm not saying that depressed people are possessed. No, definitely not. It's just that it's like the poltergeist thing. You're sending out that negative energy by being depressed, and it's bringing in the entity, because it's feeding off of that negative, because it's a negative entity to begin with. I hope this all makes sense. But I thought this would be a good subject to talk on this morning, considering that I've gotten spam because, of my videos I made about my handicapped friend. But mental illness, especially schizophrenia, I believe that the person is possessed, because the signs are there through the characteristics of the demon or demons, okay? And what it's doing is playing on the mind and making you think that there is really something wrong with you when in fact it's really not. It's a spiritual thing going on, and a supernatural thing going on. And the reason why society don't want to accept it is because it's something that cannot be seen, so they pop in pills. Okay? My theory is, I'd love to get down into mental health. And I'd love to analyze some of these people. Find out their background and so forth. Okay, and see if they've dabbled. Most of the time, sometimes, a lot of times, these people have dabbled into some area where they shouldn't be. They could be normal. You know, you hear people say, well, gee, Joanne was normal, then all of a sudden, bam, you know, this happened. It happened so quick, and then you have the shrink saying, oh, it can happen any time. Now, there are going to be folks out there that disagree with me, but these are my views from my research. These are my point of views of, you know, having scientific facts, okay? And those of us who deal in the other side of the world there, of the unseen, you know, can agree with my theories on this. But I wanted to talk about that because it's a very seldom talked about subject, because of it being kind of touchy. Alright? But all mental illnesses are not created by possession. But most of the people that go into mental health is schizophrenia. And after interviewing doctors and nurses and so forth like that, and talking with some patients, my conclusion is that schizophrenia is possession. Okay? And the folks who are on drugs and alcohol, that's all self-induced. But still, the entity is feeding off of that negative energy that you're putting out there. Not only is drugs and alcohol a negative form of self-inducement, but it is also bringing in unwelcome guests. Okay? Because the brain waves are sending out that. Because I've never used marijuana. I've never used drugs. I am anti-drug. I am one out of 1 million people. Okay? Some people, from my understanding, that uses marijuana alone, just marijuana, which I don't think is that big of a deal, okay, they get paranoid. And where do you think the paranoia is coming from? Your mind is working in a negative manner, where it's sending out the vibrations to bring in something negative to hurt you. That's just an example, folks. Those of you who smoke it, I'm not putting you down. I'm open-minded. It's there. We got to accept it as society. It's just my choice. I've never done it. Okay? So I wanted to get this out there, and I think it's very informative. And let me know what your comments are. Okay? Alright. You all have a good day. And this is Try 76.